Okay, friends, good morning to all of you once again. So,
इसमें गड़बड़ है
I
ना
have the
पर
pleasure of introducing Professor Pramod Kumar Singla, who is Associate Professor in the Department of Education and Education Management. He joined this institution in August 85. Basically, he is a civil engineer. He has done BE in civil, ME in civil with specialization in irrigation and hydraulics, and also pursuing PhD in civil engineering. He has to his credit more than 36 years of experience in teaching and 30 years of experience in research. And for the last 5 years, he is also holding the charge of administration. So he is faculty in charge administration. Uh, uh, Pramod Singla's areas of specialization include civil engineering, appropriate low-cost technology, curriculum development, communication skill, and personality development. And he has also taught several subjects at postgraduate level. He has held various positions while working in the institute. He also worked in the Department of Rural Development. He also worked in the Department of Curriculum Development, and he has developed, designed, and reviewed large number of curricula of various technical institutions. Under his supervision, 14 students have completed their MTech thesis, and he has contributed 82 papers in various national and international journals. About, as I said, he is involved in curriculum design. So about 90 curriculum have been designed under his leadership, and he is also involved in uh, 20 technologies under technology transfer, and he has also got published 8 textbooks. To mention a few are curriculum development for polytechnics, English and communication skill 1, English and communication skill 2, textbook on English and communication skill, then applied mechanics and basics of management. So we have with us Professor P.K. Singla, and he is going to share his experiences in evaluating student performance in practical, which are conducted in laboratory and workshop, as well as evaluation of student performance in project work, because both are very important components of technical education system. So with these words, I welcome Professor P.K. Singla and request him to kindly interact with the participating teachers. So there are about 100 teachers who have registered in the Knitter portal. There are two nodal center. One is Department of Chemistry, Mulana Engineering College, Mulana, with 40 participants, and another 40 participants are from Guru Tegh Bahadur Institute of Technology, Rajouri Garden, New Delhi. So over to Professor P.K. Singla, please.
Namaskar and a very good morning to everyone. At the very outset, I am so thankful to Dr. Sunil Dutt for his very kind words. And also, he's like an elder brother to me. We enjoy a very good relationships in the institute. Whatever little I have learned in pedagogy, let me very at the outset acknowledge that a large part of it has come from Dr. Sunil Dutt and his team in the EMJT department. My dear friends, the topic of the day is how to evaluate practical and how to evaluate projects. I know some of you have a long years of experience working in the engineering college and in polytechnics, and you are bound by the systems given to you by the boards or by the universities in case of engineering colleges, and from the boards in case of diploma institutions. We find that over the years when I interact with the teachers, I find personally that there are certain lacunas, there are certain problems, issues involved in the evaluation of practical work. Somehow the practical work is not getting that kind of emphasis which it deserves to have in the engineering education. Engineering is application of sciences. Application of sciences is engineering. And when we talk about application, it means we are talking about the practical aspects of the sciences in our everyday life. Uh, my dear friends, somehow the students get a message I do not know how it gets it. When I was doing my graduation way back in 78 to 82 from Thapar, we also got a message, not for every course, but then many courses of practicals, drawing, laboratories, workshop, project, that isme to pass ho jayenge. We will somehow pass. Nobody fails in this. That itself, before even I go to the practical class, demotivates me to be that serious, which it requires to be. I mean, the serious attention the practical works require, seriousness with which we have to do the practicals, we do not give that kind of serious attention in our practical classes. And the biggest problem with the practicals is its evaluation. It is true for the theory also, for the theory classes also, but somehow the students generally have a message that if you will not study hard, you will not pass the exam. But you may pass the practicals, you may pass the drawing class, you may pass the laboratory workshop, or maybe the project work. You will rarely find students failing in these classes, especially in a conventional polytechnic and engineering colleges. One of the major problem in evaluating the project in practical classes, I consider project as a practical work in the curriculum, is the subjectivity involved into it. I am sure by this time my colleagues or the experts must have discussed at length about the difference between objectivity and subjectivity, objective testing and subjective testing. My sessions are usually very lively. I will like to show maybe one or two videos, and we will also try to share a story with you, maybe just after this introductory part of my session here. And then we will come down to the specifics about the practical evaluation. I want all of you to be active in this. As such, ऑनलाइन क्लासेस के अंदर काफी सारा गैप रहता है बिटवीन द स्पीकर एंड द स्टूडेंट्स. Here you all teachers are the students, so I want to bridge this gap by having more interactions with all of you. I would like to very quickly, maybe you can unmute those who want to respond to my question. My question here is that what is a subjective evaluation and what is objective evaluation? What is the major difference between the two? And I am telling you beforehand, in practical evaluation, when we talk about evaluation practicals, there is a lot of subjectivity involved. Whereas to large extent, I am not saying completely, in the theory evaluation, we can very easily, I mean, if you are having some tools with you, you have some expertise in the evaluation systems, you can be very very objective in your testing. Not always, but then there are this possible. But in practicals, it is a lot of subjectivities involved. But my question is, what is a subjective testing and what is a objective test? What is the difference between the two? I want you to kindly unmute and then respond to this question. What do you think from your common sense or from your experience of being a teacher in the polytechnic or engineering college? Dr.
Hello.
Rupali.
Yes, sir. Good morning, all of you. So, in my view, subjectivity is giving importance to one's own perception and prejudice to individual learners while evaluating. And objectivity is not giving importance to your own perception and prejudices related to some student or learner, and looking into it's only the work or projects or during evaluation. This is the difference, which we usually we find in polytechnics and engineering very disappointingly while evaluating during practicals. This is
Okay, Dr. Rupali,
we
आपका
all
कौन सा college
we
है?
all know this is the we all know, sir, this is the truth.
Yeah.
some
आपका
or the
रुपाली
other
कौन सा
way we,
कॉलेज है? आपका कौन सा कॉलेज है?
sir, I am from Rajkiya Polytechnic, Bindki, Fatehpur,
Fatehpur se. Okay.
UP.
I will
Yeah.
request the participant to kindly introduce yourself before you respond, and also, if possible, switch on your video also so that we can have better interaction. The purpose is that we should have more interaction on the online, if it is possible. But then, Rupali, I say okay to you. This is true to large extent,
Yeah.
and I like to have some more inputs on this. from some other
Yes.
participants. You want to say
Okay, sir.
something
Thank you.
more on this, Rupali?
No, sir, but this is really very disappointing, and somehow I don't know why we are bounded while evaluating
Okay,
during practicals.
okay,
Uh,
okay, okay.
Even the fairer, we want to be fairer, but we can't at some moments.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That's why the session is here. That's why the session.
Yeah,
Okay, somebody else?
thank you.
You can mute yourself now, Rupali, please. Yeah, somebody else
कौन
like
से
to give his or her inputs? Sonia Sharma, you want to say something? Or any other colleague? Sonia, yes.
हेलो सर
आपका ना इको आ रहा है बिकॉज यू माइट बी ऑन या टू प्लेसेस. आप दो जगह से ना ऑन हो. ठीक है, अब ठीक है. ये आपकी इंटरनेट की स्पीड का इशू है सर. कोई इको आ रहा है आपकी यहाँ से ना सोनाली, सोनिया.
यस
Somebody
सर गुड
else?
मॉर्निंग सर
Good morning, Sonia.
आई एम सोनिया शर्मा working as assistant professor in computer science department in Mulana University, and your session is very informative. We learn new things, and then it opens our mind to the practical things we face in our daily teaching and all.
अब
And
बताइए कि
earlier I have
ऑब्जेक्टिव और
worked in
सब्जेक्टिव
industry,
टीचिंग में क्या
now I
डिफरेंस
am
है आपको?
working in academic.
ओके, अब बताइए कि ऑब्जेक्टिव टेस्टिंग
अब
और
इनकी नहीं आ रही,
सिलेक्टिव
वहां से
टेस्टिंग में क्या
बंद कर
फर्क
दिया. अच्छा ये हेडफोन में जा रही है.
है? नहीं, आपकी आवाज ठीक आ रही है सोनिया, बिल्कुल ठीक आ रहा है.
हाँ जी,
मुझे भी ठीक आ
अब ठीक आ रही है सर.
रहा है. यस, बिल्कुल ठीक आ रहा है.
ओके सर.
So what is the difference between objective testing and subjective testing?
Like in objective testing, we have to give multiple choice questions to students, and in subjective testing, they have to explain, they have to elaborate.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
so in objective testing, from the objective test, students will learn in different way.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, Sonia. Somebody else like to say anything? You can switch
Okay,
off your
thank you,
mic
sir.
now. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Somebody else?
So
I
this is
want one
Dr.
more
Seema
input.
Singh.
Seema Singh. Yes, Seema
Yeah.
ji.
I'm from GTB IT, sir, Guru Tegh Bahadur Institute of Technology. Sir,
Okay.
I mean, to my mind, objective means the testing or the evaluation that we do is done pretty empirically in the sense that, we have very clear, well-defined parameters on which we are judging the students. We are not guided by our own perceptions, as someone just pointed out earlier. We are not guided by our own prejudices, biases, feelings. Say someday I'm in a foul mood, and I, decide to take a practical test or something, and just because I am not in a good mood, I decide to, not give them the marks that,
The
they
person deserves.
deserve. I decide to, or maybe I am upset with a certain student, and therefore I let that come in the way of me assessing him objectively. So I think this kind of an approach would be counted as subjective.
Thank you so much, Seema. You are. I am used to, calling my students by their first name. Please do not mind anybody. Do not mind it.
You're most welcome to say that, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Seema. We will discuss further on this.
Sure, sir.
Somebody else like to say before we go further on this? Somebody else like to say? Seema, you can mute yourself now. Somebody else like to give his or her inputs on what is subjective testing and what is objective testing? Because my whole topic is going to revolve around this only. This is a key thing in this. Anybody like to say anything? Yes?
Hello.
Yes, Rubika Walia.
Yes, sir. Are you getting my voice properly?
Yes, very clearly.
Okay, fine, sir. Sir,
No
actually, what I
video
want
from
to
your
say that
side.
very first thing, very first thing,
आपका
sir, your
वीडियो
sessions are good.
आपका वीडियो नहीं आ रहा रूबिका, एंड योर आपका इंट्रोडक्शन भी कर
Am I
दीजिए.
visible now, sir?
Yes.
Okay, sir. Actually, what I'm saying that your sessions are going very good. The very first thing, the topic you have chosen is just amazing. Because this is the very first thing that we used to do people these days as an Indian academic, and we people to do, we have to do evaluations, we have to set the papers and all. Like this session actually help us with what actually we have, because practical sessions are very important, very first thing. So practical sessions are going on there, and we are very happy, and actually everyone is just teaching us so slowly and so properly, like we people are properly learning it. And now talking about your subjective and objective, like subjectives are like you can easily elaborate what exactly in your mind. But when we comes to objective, sometimes it is like कि हम लोग we people want to write something, we people know much about that thing, but we are not able to clear that particular thing that yes, this is the proper option or this is. Sometimes we people get confused also. If we say that being a teacher and being a professor, sometimes we people get confused that is this the right answer or is this the right answer? So according to me, that subjective, the criteria of the subjective is much good. I feel like that. But whatever other people feel like that is a different option. But according to me, subjective, objective, both are going good. But subjectives, you can find out at what student is actually writing, what student is what actually want to say. You can easily check. But we all the students have different ideas about their own. So we people can properly evaluate what actually students want to say about this particular topic or particular thing. So that is what basically subjective is.
Thank you so much, Rubika. Thank you so much. Somebody else like to say?
Yes, sir. This is Helen Prabha from RM Engineering College, sir.
Helen Prabha.
Yes, sir. Sir, objective, the student must know the exact answer. Only they can give the answer for this one. The subjective, if they know the relevant answer, they can give. But the objective, the students will not get the marks. But subjective, they can get at least relevant marks.
Okay. Thank you so much, Helen Prabha.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So last person now who want to respond. Any male member? All the answers are coming from the my female friends, colleagues from the audience here. I'm not gender biased. Any female can also take the last chance.
Can I add something to this, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Seema.
Yes, sir. Sir, as I just said earlier, objective way of an objective approach would mean that we are approaching the object of our study from a logical perspective, from a reasonable, from the perspective of reasoning it out. And if we were to do a subjective, approach, then it is about giving into our, feelings, imagination, creativity, all of that comes into picture. For instance, just to give you an example, I could do an objective description of my dog, wherein I just focus on the physical characteristics of my dog, the breed, the size, the color, the shape, and maybe just a few of his habits. But then when I do a subjective description or a subjective, I approach the topic from a subjective perspective. I can even bring in, my connection, the bond I share with it, the way I spend my time, the feelings I have for my dog, the various things pertaining to that can also come into picture.
Okay, thank you so much, Seema. You are all saying good things, but let me. You are all saying. I think you're very close to what I wanted to say. All of you, you can mute yourself, Seema, now, please. So the major difference, because this whole program is on the student evaluation, so this should be very clear as teachers. Otherwise, also should be very clear in your mind what is subjective testing and what is objective testing, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of objective and subjective testing. My colleagues must have talked to you three things which are very essential for the student assessment to be accurate. Number one is validity. Number two is reliability. Number three is practicality of the testing. Yes, you have. I think you must have undergone these three things. Validity, reliability, the tools with which you are measuring the student's performance should be reliable, they should be valid, and they should be tested under practical conditions. practically possible conditions, not in too cold, not in too hot, not the too lengthy examination, not too short, not keeping in mind the brilliant, the most brilliant, not keeping in mind the most dull student in the class. Even those are the practical things. Reliability and practicality के बारे में मैं यदि बोलना शुरू करूंगा तो पूरा सेशन चला जाएगा. Let me focus on mid test. Objective test fulfill largely the validity reliability conditions of a test of the assessment tools. But then higher order learning abilities, what we try to assess, what we try to evaluate in student evaluation is we try to evaluate the level and comparatively performance of the student related to each other on how much they have grasped whatever has been taught to them. चाहे वो practical है, चाहे वो theory है, उन्होंने कितना समझ लिया और वो समझ हम टेस्ट करते हैं थ्रू स्टूडेंट एवेल्युएशन. और वो जो समझ टेस्ट करने के टूल्स हैं दैट इज नोन एज असेसमेंट टूल्स. तो ऑब्जेक्टिव टेस्ट रिलायबिलिटी, वैलिडिटी एंड प्रैक्टिकलिटी के लार्जली वो कंडीशंस फुलफिल कर देते हैं, लेकिन हायर ऑर्डर लर्निंग जो हैं दे कैन नॉट बी टेस्टेड थ्रू ऑब्जेक्टिव टेस्ट. ओनली नॉलेज कंप्रीहेंशन एंड एप्लीकेशन लेवल तक हम लोग कर सकते हैं, एज पॉइंटेड आउट बाय सम ऑफ माय फ्रेंड्स हियर. जो उनकी क्रिएटिविटी है, जो उनकी इवैल्यूएशन, जो उनकी एनालिटिकल एबिलिटीज हैं, दे कैन नॉट बी टेस्टेड बाय objective test. We have to go to the subjective test, but we can bring about objectivity in the subjective test. My emphasis in this whole session will be how to bring about objectivity in the subjective testing, because we cannot do away with the subjective testing. Although we have all the merits in objective testing, but the limitation is higher order learning cannot be tested through objective testing. The major difference between objective testing and subjective testing, let me simplify what my colleagues just now have mentioned. In objective testing, the scores of the student, the performance evaluation score of the student does not depend on who is marking the student. यदि सीमा जी के पास पेपर आता है या किसी और कुलीग के पास पेपर जाता है, किसी बी एग्जामिनर के पास या सी एग्जामिनर के पास, in objective testing every time the score of the student is exactly same, because you have the key, whether Seema ji marks it or Rupali ji mark it or Rubika या सोनिया या हेलन या any one of you mark. यदि objective test है, आपके पास की है, the score of the student is not subject to who is marking. आप आज मार्क करते हैं, 10 दिनों बाद मार्क करते हैं, जितनी मार्क करेंगे सेम स्कोर रहेगा. Nowadays on the OMR sheet on objective testing, we do not require Seema, we do not require Pramod. My name is Pramod. Machine will evaluate. So the score of the student is not subject to the evaluator. But in case of subjective testing, same paper का यदि मैं सीमा जी को देता हूँ, सेम पेपर में यदि रूपाली जी को देता हूँ या रूबिका को या हेलन को या मैं मार्क करता हूँ, any one of you, there can be difference between the scores. Do you agree with me on this, Seema ji? So it is subjective testing में it is subject to who evaluates. In objective testing, it is free from, it is objectively based on only the performance and the performance of the students. But then we cannot do away with the subjective testing. As I mentioned, it is so easy. That is why it has a very high component of reliability and validity, the objective testing. And in competitive exam and screening tests, we go for the objective testing because we do not want to bring about any kind of discrimination because of the evaluators. And it is possible to a large extent, and you have to work very hard for that. Anyway, my dear friends, in the practicals, we cannot largely go for the objective testing because we are trying to see the performance of the students as in the shop floors. I mean, chahe wo shop floor can be your drawing or maybe laboratory. We cannot tell him कि ये 5 में से 4 क्वेश्चन, 4 में से कौन सा राइटर टिक कर दो, ये करना टिक कर दो. No, we have to do that. But we can bring about, even in the theory, if you are going for the subjective testing, essay type questions हैं आपके पास, you can bring about more number of parameters, and the number of parameters you add will keep on adding the objectivity in the subjective test. सीमा जी समझ में आया आपको? Hello, Seema ji, am I audible? I am asking Seema ji, anybody else? Rupali, आपको समझ में आया? Seema ji is on mute. उनका कुछ प्रॉब्लम है. Rubika,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it is clear.
Yes, sir, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I've understood. Yes, sir, समझ आया, बहुत अच्छे से समझ आया sir.
हाँ, तो practical में भी there are two things,
If you could just
generally
repeat
three things.
that.
Yes, Seema ji. Yes.
If you could
Okay.
speak about how we can bring in more parameters in the
Yeah.
subjective test.
तो यदि हमने आपके डॉग की डिस्क्रिप्शन देनी है तो उसके कौन कौन से पैरामीटर्स को डिफाइन कर दें, फिर चाहे वो सीमा जी दे रही हैं डिस्क्रिप्शन, चाहे कोई और दे रहा है, उन्होंने उन पैरामीटर्स के ऊपर ही डिस्क्रिप्शन देनी है, तो फिर देन इट बिकम्स ए लिटिल मोर ऑब्जेक्टिव. सो ड्राइंग वर्क में, लेबोरेटरी वर्क में, वर्कशॉप में, प्रोजेक्ट में कौन कौन से पैरामीटर इंपॉर्टेंट है, दैट आई विल डिस्कस इन माय दिस क्लास. Okay, and I have done a lot of research. I prepared long back a manual on external evaluation student, both theory and practicals. I got an opportunity to interact with Dr. Sunil Daji, Dr. Tulsi, and many other colleagues from this institute and many other IITs and NITs also. Then we prepared this manual, and I'm going to share that those things with all of you. So, my dear friends, दो चीजें बड़ी important हैं when we are talking about the practicals. Number one is product. Number two is the process evaluation and the product evaluation. My next question to all of you is, what is product evaluation and what is process evaluation?
Please repeat the question.
One at a time. Rubika, you want to say something?
Yes, sir, please repeat the question.
My question is, there are two things which are very important. One is process evaluation. The second is product evaluation.
So product evaluation would be the end result of whatever we have testing we have done. What is the outcome?
Okay.
What is the
What is the
results we
process
have garnered
evaluation?
from the test? And
what is
process would be the various steps we have taken in arriving at that product. So what were the various steps? How was the procedure conducted? Were there any variations? Were there any steps taken to expedite the process or slow down the process? So that is the process actually.
Okay. Somebody else want to say? Rubika, you wanted to say something?
Hello?
Hello, yes, Rubika. Yes, Rubika.
Sir, yes, sir. So when we are talking about
आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही, Rubika. Deepika has mentioned here process evaluation means the steps taken while making the product. Very right. Gayatri has mentioned in the chat box here, product evaluation is to evaluate the quality of the product. Thank you so much. Rubika, आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही, will get back to you soon again. But let me clarify once again. You are very right. Process evaluation is कि आपने जो वर्कशॉप में जो जॉब बनाई या लेबोरेटरी में आपके जो एंड रिजल्ट आए एज ए रिजल्ट ऑफ द एक्सपेरिमेंट्स, या आपने ड्राइंग क्लास में ड्राइंग शीट बनाई जो एंड में ड्राइंग शीट बन गई एक, दैट इज ए प्रोडक्ट. या प्रोजेक्ट में भी, प्रोजेक्ट एवेल्युएशन में भी, जैसे आपने जो प्रोजेक्ट था, वो जो प्रोजेक्ट आपने बनाया, चाहे इट में बी ए रिपोर्ट, इट में बी ए प्रोडक्ट, वो जो एंड में एक चीज आपके हाथ में आई, चाहे वो रिपोर्ट है, चाहे वो कोई प्रोटोटाइप है, दैट इज योर, और या डिजाइन भी आपने कुछ कर दिया, दैट डिजाइन इटसेल्फ इज ए प्रोडक्ट. Now, in the product evaluation, we see the final drawing, we see the final reports, of the experiments कि इसने इसके ये results आए, और in the workshop we see the final job कैसे बन गई, which is very important. But equally important is how he or she has arrived on that. उसका जो प्रोसेस था, हो सकता है कि मेरा प्रोसेस बिल्कुल ठीक था, एट द लास्ट मोमेंट कोई प्रॉब्लम आ गई मेरे को जिसकी वजह से मेरा प्रोडक्ट में गड़बड़ हो गई. दैट डज नॉट मीन कि आई शुड बी स्कोर्ड लेस. यस, चाहे वो थ्योरी के एग्जाम में भी हम लोग जैसे कहते हैं कि खाली जो आपकी आंसर की जो एंड आंसर है उसको देख के मार्किंग नहीं करनी चाहिए. वी शुड मेक ए मार्किंग स्कीम कि यदि आपने ये कर दिया 1 नंबर, ये कर दिया 2 नंबर, ये कर दिया 3 नंबर, ये कर दिया 5 नंबर. इन गुड इंस्टीट्यूशंस दे गिव द मार्किंग स्कीम टू द स्टूडेंट कि आपने यदि ये, चाहे वो थ्योरी है चाहे वो प्रैक्टिकल है, मोर ट्रू फॉर द प्रैक्टिकल्स, कि आपने यदि वो एंड आपका जो रिजल्ट्स आए हैं लेबोरेटरी में वो गलत भी आ गए, समटाइम्स यू मे स्कोर हिम मोर देन द अदर बॉय बिकॉज हिज प्रोसेस इज वेरी राइट. लेकिन जनरली, बट व्हाट हैपेंस जनरली इज वी गेट द ड्राइंग का पेपर हो रहा है, somebody is invigilators हैं, ultimately the drawing sheet goes to the evaluator and he evaluates the product. और बहुत बार जब इंटरनल होती है तो वो टोपो हो जाती है. मैंने ड्राइंग्स कैन बी, और द रिजल्ट्स मैंने आपके सीनियर के कॉपी से अपने रिजल्ट्स ले लिए, या जॉब्स किसी ने रिप्लेस कर दिया, प्रोजेक्ट तो चंडीगढ़ में बहुत सारे लोग हैं जो आपको प्रोजेक्ट बना के देते हैं 100-150 रुपए में. ऑल दोस इल प्रैक्टिसेस कम इनटू द फील्ड. सो इन ऑर्डर टू अवॉइड दैट, imbibe both the process evaluation as well as the product evaluation. Both are important. I say the product is very important and the process is also very important. So this also you keep in mind when you are talking about the student evaluation on the practicals. All right. And now before I go further, let me share a story with all of you. Are you ready for the story?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So who will like to narrate the story for us? I want one person to volunteer to read the story. I will project the story here. Anyone who has volunteered? Who's going to read the
Yes,
story?
sir, my
for us?
voice is audible, sir.
Yes, Rubika, your voice is audible. You would like to read the story for all of us?
Yes, sir, I will, sir.
Okay, Rubika ji, this is a very nice story. It has a great message hidden in the story, which will be, evident to all of us. Rubika ji, are you able to see the slides?
Yes, sir.
Are you able to see my slides here?
Yes, sir, properly visible.
Okay. So we listen this story from Rubika, and all of you can also see it on the screen also. So Rubika ji, please.
A giant ship engine failed.
There was a giant ship and its engine failed.
Yeah. A giant ship engine failed.
Yes.
The ship's owner tried one expert after another.
This is usually what happens. We try to find the experts to do the repair.
But none of them could figure but how to fix the engine.
We go from one mechanic to another mechanic, but in case of a ship engine is a very big engine. Yes.
Then they brought in an old man who had been fixing ships since he was a young. He carried a large bag of tools with him, and when he arrived, he immediately went to work. He inspected the engine very carefully, top to bottom. Two of the ship's owners were there, watching this man, hoping he would know what to do. After looking things over, the old man reached into his bag and pulled out a small hammer. He gently tapped something.
ये उसने हैमर निकाल ली और कुछ हल्का सा
Tap
टैप
किया.
कर दिया.
Yeah.
Yes.
Instantly, the engine lurched into life. He carefully put his hammer away. The engine was fixed.
That was all which was required.
Yeah, just with a single hammer, he get fixed it.
Yeah,
A
single
week
small
later,
step.
the owner received a bill from the old man for $10,000.
Isn't it so amazing? Just for it, he gets the
Yeah.
bill of $10,000.
What? The owner exclaimed. He hardly did anything. So they wrote the old man a note saying, please send us an itemized bill.
This is very usual practice management का tool है ना, itemize मांगो क्या क्या डिटेल क्या क्या करा आपने.
Exactly. The man sent a bill that read, tapping with the hammer, $2. Knowing where to tap, $9998. Now 1,998. Wow.
This is the
Wow, very
intellectual
clever.
capital. No,
Very
this is what
intelligent.
we want our engineers, polytechnic from engineering colleges where you are all teaching different subjects. They should know where the diagnose. They should be able to diagnose where the problem is. They should be able to design. They should be able to create. They should be. I mean, tapping of hammer can be done by anyone. Yes. I am not a plumber as a civil engineer. I'm not a mason, but I can design. I can find the faults in the building, rectify. I can claim 9,998, and for $2 I can hire a plumber or a carpenter or anybody else. Yes. So this is the significance of the practicals. Thank you so much, Rubika ji. Thank you so much. You are a wonderful storyteller. Efforts are important, but knowing where to make an effort makes all the difference, my dear friends. God bless you all. With this small story, I just wanted to bring home one very important thing, which I said in the beginning. Practicals are very important. Theory is very important, though I am not discounting on that. But then somehow the message to the polytechnic and engineering college students should go very clearly that they have to give equal weightage to practicals, and they can also fail if they do not perform in the laboratories, in the workshops, in the drawing, or in the project work. And there is nothing wrong. I mean, and you don't have to feel guilty about it. इसने experiment नहीं करा तो ये fail हो गया. उसने एक question attempt नहीं करा तब भी तो fail हो रहा है ना वो theory में. Yes or no? But we hesitate, we feel guilty कि मैंने इसको फेल कर दिया. थ्योरी में मैं उसको गिल्टी नहीं फील करता. थ्योरी में मैं कहता हूँ उसने अटेम्प्ट नहीं करा, उसने रॉन्ग अटेम्प्ट करा, मैंने इसलिए फेल करा. तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल इन आवर ओन माइंडसेट वी हैव टू कम आउट फ्रॉम दिस कि हमने नहीं फेल करा, उसने फेल हो गया बिकॉज ही फेल टू परफॉर्म. He failed to perform. And my dear friends, towards the end of this class, please remind me to share one video with all of you also. Let me share now my PPTs on the subject, and very quickly we will try to cover this very quickly. And with this background, which we have covered already, and you are all good teachers, it seems to me from your feedbacks, I will be able to, I think, cover this. This topic is a very vast topic. Okay. Are you able to see my this screen? Are you able to see my screen? Anyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. I have a complete lecture on planning, organizing, and evaluating of practical work, but I will be focusing in next about 20 minutes or so only on the evaluation part of the practical work. In our curriculum of polytechnics and engineering colleges, there are basically 4 components of practical. There are other opportunities of practical also, but 4 are the minimum, which is very much there in the curriculum of all diploma or in the engineering courses. That is drawing, laboratory, workshops, and the projects. These are the 4 areas which is there in the curriculum. And other than that, there are other opportunities for the student to do the practicals. I am not going to touch in details about those things also. So, my dear friends, let me just very quickly do away those slides which are covering the organizing and planning part, but come to the evaluation part of all 4 components here. The purpose of education is to bring about desirable change in behavior in the learner. I am not going to dwell too much on this. Taxonomy के ऊपर भी ज़्यादा बात नहीं करेंगे. Let me just come down to those things which are too relevant for this. There are different purpose. First of all, जिस किसी चीज को हमने evaluate करना है. For example, if I want to evaluate the student on their drawing skills, so I must know कि drawing क्यों पढ़ाया क्यों जा रहा है. Why I am teaching them the drawing? If I am teaching them the evaluating them on the laboratory, why I am teaching them the laboratory class? Why should there be any laboratory class? क्लास में एग्जाम थ्योरी में पढ़ाएं हम सब कुछ और एग्जाम लेके बच्चे को डिग्री दे सकते हैं. Why I am taking them to the workshops? Why I am giving them the opportunities to go for the project work? We should be very clear about the purpose. From the purpose itself, जो लोग MBA की तैयारी कर रहे हैं अपने अपने कोर्सेज के लिए, the learning outcome से ही आपके evaluation or assessment tools निकलते हैं. If you are very clear about your aims, why should there be drawing? What's the difference between a laboratory and a workshop? Okay, just 2 minutes on this also. What is the difference between a laboratory? Objective क्या है laboratory का और objective क्या है, aim क्या है? Why we are teaching the workshop? इन दोनों में कोई anyone can give me a feedback on this? Yes. Rupali ji has raised her hand. Please say, Rupali.
Yes, sir. So in laboratory, we do experiment sort of thing. Like we are doing experimenting. It could be like it could give some outcome or sometimes not give outcome. But in workshop, we have to show the outcome. It is not like an experiment. We have to execute those things which we have done in our labs. In our workshops, we have to do the execution sort of thing in workshops by giving some outcome.
Okay, मेरा कहता हूँ कि why should we have laboratory के इतने सारा laboratory में इतना सारा पैसा खर्च होता है, time, energy लगती है. Why should we have laboratories? Why should we have workshops in the college?
So to give them hands-on training, as earlier it was pointed out that we also have to work on their psychomotor skills. So knowing how to, coordinate things with their hand and hold things and, do things all by themselves.
Okay.
The guided efforts of the teacher.
Some interesting Seema ji feedback is coming from the friends on the chat box. In workshop, we make different types of jobs like a fitting job, welding job. Varsha mentioned that we learn by doing instead of reading only. And then Gayatri ma'am has said that practical exposure of the theory content the student learn. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, let me put it in a very simple words. हर चीज का अलग अलग पर्पस है. लेबोरेटरी का पर्पस ये है, उनको बोल देते हैं, इनको बोल दो, मैं भी बोल देता हूँ. लेबोरेटरी का पर्पस ये है कि आपने एक्सपेरिमेंट करके देखा जो आपने थ्योरी में पढ़ा या जो आप थ्योरी में पढ़ने जा रहे हैं कि क्या वो प्रैक्टिकली ऐसा हो रहा है या नहीं हो रहा. दिस इज ए वैलिडेशन ऑफ व्हाट यू हैव स्टडीड इन द थ्योरी क्लास. Yes, you have validated कि okay, ये क्लोरीन में ये डालने से ये हो जाता है, पानी प्योर हो जाता है, उसके बैक्टीरिया मर जाते हैं. सो यू टेस्ट इट. सो या आपके फ्लोराइड कंटेंट को खत्म करना है तो यू टेस्ट इट कि मैंने ये डाला तो फ्लोराइड कंटेंट का पहले सैंपल में क्या था, बाद में क्या हुआ. और वाटर सीमेंट रेशो इन द कंक्रीट मिक्स में यदि मैं वाटर को ज्यादा डालता हूं तो उसका स्ट्रेंथ के ऊपर क्या असर हो रहा है. आई एम टीचिंग देम इन द क्लास बट दे आर वैलिडेटिंग दोज थ्योरी थिंग्स इन द laboratories. Yes. Whereas in workshop, you are not validating. You are developing the skills, psychomotor. Somebody used the word here, psychomotor. You are developing the hands-on skills of the student. Laboratory can be done by group of people together. But workshop में हर एक student के अंदर skill आनी है. So this cannot be done in a group. Everyone has to do that to develop the skill in himself or herself. ड्राइंग का पर्पस ये है टू रीड एंड इंटरप्रेट. पॉलिटेक्निक में और इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज में जो डिजाइन्स हैं, डिजाइन्स में आपकी जो लैंग्वेज है, ड्राइंग इज ए लैंग्वेज ऑफ इंजीनियर्स. यू शुड बी एबल टू रीड इट द ड्राइंग एंड यू शुड बी एबल टू इंटरप्रेट इट एंड गेट द जॉब डन. आपके पास मैन पावर अवेलेबल है. यू शुड बी एबल टू रीड. आपके पास जो ड्राइंग आई है, जहां से भी किसी ने भी डिजाइन करके भेजा है, यू शुड बी एबल टू रीड एंड एबल टू कम्युनिकेट टू द पीपल टू फ्रॉम होम वी आर गेटिंग द जॉब डन. प्रोजेक्ट वर्क का एम ये है कि टू बी एबल टू कॉम्प्रीहेंसिवली इंटीग्रेट थ्योरी एंड प्रैक्टिकल इन ए रियल लाइफ सिचुएशन. आपकी रियल लाइफ सिचुएशन है एक, आपने बहुत सारी थ्योरी में सब्जेक्ट्स पढ़ लिए, प्रैक्टिकल भी कर लिए, लेबोरेटरी में, वर्कशॉप में, ड्राइंग में, थ्योरी क्लासेस में. नाउ यू आर गिवन ए प्रैक्टिकली ए लाइव प्रॉब्लम एंड यू आर अप्लाइंग ऑल दैट थ्योरी एंड ऑल दैट प्रैक्टिकल इन ए लाइफ सिचुएशन. आर यू एबल टू डू दैट? That is basically the aim of the project work. So the aim of the from the aims only we can prepare the assessment tools. कि ये पर्पस है हमारा, क्या स्टूडेंट ने कंपिटेंसी हासिल कर ली है टू फुलफिल दैट एम विद विच दैट वाज पुट इन द करिकुलम. सिलेबस में हमने ड्राइंग रखी, लेबोरेटरी रखी, वर्कशॉप रखी, प्रोजेक्ट रखा, उसके कुछ एम्स थे जो मैंने अभी आप सबसे शेयर करे. आई एम सॉरी, आई एम स्पीकिंग इन हिंदी. इज इट ओके टू एवरीवन?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I'm using the dual language here. So आपने उस aims को मद्देनजर रखते हुए, which was so very important, you can produce a $2 engineer or a $10,000 engineer depending upon the aims with which you are designing the programs and with which you are actually executing those programs also. So now coming back to the drawing, my slides over here, the aims are very clear. Read and interpret drawings. बाकी के मैं बातें नहीं करूंगा यहाँ पे. So let us come to the evaluation part. Instead of getting the drawing made, which is the product, which is important, process the drawing. Teachers should be present in the drawing halls, even in the final evaluation also. क्लासरूम में जब हमारी सेशनल्स होते हैं तब तो होते हैं टीचर्स ड्राइंग के वहां पर, लेकिन वो भी सिर्फ फाइनल ड्राइंग शीट देख के ऊपर नंबर देते हैं. सो दिस इज व्हाट बेस्ड ऑन माय ओन रिसर्च एंड माय ओन स्टडी आफ्टर इंटरेक्टिंग विद मेनी टीचर्स ऑन ड्राइंग, लेबोरेटरी, वर्कशॉप एंड प्रोजेक्ट आई एम प्रेजेंटिंग बिफोर यू. So the process evaluation में, preparing the drawing में, you can evaluate. If there are total 100 marks, you may assign 20 marks to the process. वो ड्राइंग बना कैसे रहा है. Not ABC teacher can be put on examination duty, but only the drawing teachers. Then the product evaluation में 30 marks. The final drawing, 50 marks should be, again 20 marks for general behavior, interest, independence, neatness and creativity. And viva voce के लिए 30 marks. You can actually bring some practical drawings and then ask certain questions to them. Are they able to read and interpret those drawings? If they are able to, then it is good. If they are not able to, they can score 70 में से score मिलेंगे उनको. And in each parameter, For example, in process में 20 पैरामीटर के I have listed down number of parameters here. For product के लिए मैंने खाली अपनी शक्ल देख के, ड्राइंग की शक्ल देख के नहीं, I have added number of parameters here. For general behavior, let us say 4 parameters. You may add more parameters or you may subtract some parameters from these. And then viva vosa में भी आपके parameter मैंने define करे हैं. So what I have done is, instead of giving 100 marks to a teacher, I have given him about 20-25 parameters based on which he or she will be evaluating the student on each drawing the student is making. That brings about objectivity in the subjective testing. Is it clear to everyone? Seema ji?
Yes, sir.
This is my way of evaluating the student on the drawing by adding more number of parameters and by evaluating the student not only on the process and on the product, but also on the aim kya tha, are they able to read and interpret drawing?
Right.
मैं आपको अभी एक छोटी सी एक एनेक्डोट बताता हूँ अपने ऊपर बीता हुआ, स्वयं के ऊपर बीता हुआ. Are you all ready? May I?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I am talking about 79, 80 की बात है. Some of you might not have born by that time. When I was in my second year of engineering, you know, I was offered a course on drawing, and then I was doing very well. I had a lot of interest in drawing at that time. We used to use mini drafters and different kind of tools to make the drawing. But आजकल तो सभी computer graphics के ऊपर drawing हो जाती है. So we were making manual drawings, set squares or other things use करते थे. I used to have Wrestler, एक Germany का tool मेरे पास box था. It was a very wonderful tool, and I was very happy with my drawing. I used to score very high in my drawing class. I have a lot of taste for the drawing. Even today also, I like to draw the things myself. Engineering drawing की बात कर रहे हैं. In spite of scoring very high, when I went for a project in Mumbai, मैं मुंबई में एक project के लिए गया, and I was given in charge of a construction site in Vasai Road. Vasai Road एक बॉम्बे में शुरू में आता है. वहाँ पे एक बहुत बड़ी साइट थी. वहाँ पे Mr. S. Mehta was the site engineer, and I was put as a intern. जो हम कहते हैं ना कि ट्रेनिंग होते हैं, उसके एक साइट इंजीनियर के अंदर लगा दिया मेरे को. तो I was learning so many things. I was doing so many things. After 10 days or so, it was a 2 months project for me to do their construction site के ऊपर. Mr. Mehta, after 10 days or so, he had to go somewhere for 3 days. Then he said, Mr. Singla, now you are familiar with the site. For 3 days, you manage the site. I said, no problem. I am a civil engineer in making. तो मेरे को तो सब कुछ आपके समझ में आ रहा है. मटेरियल्स क्या है, कंस्ट्रक्शन टेक्नोलॉजी क्या है, वो सब मैंने थ्योरी में पढ़ रखा था सब कुछ. वहाँ पे ड्राइंग भी पढ़ी हुई थी. एंड व्हेन ही लेफ्ट नेक्स्ट डे मॉर्निंग, द फिटर जो कि प्लम्बिंग का हेड था, जो बार कटर्स का फिटर का काम होता है बार को कट करना और बेंड करना, जो रीइंफोर्समेंट में सिविल इंजीनियरिंग में काम आते हैं ना, स्टील जो लोहा लगता है, तो उसको कितने साइज का लोहा और कहाँ पे कैसे कैसे बेंड करना है. ही केम टू मी एंड ही सेड कि सर बार बेंडिंग शेड्यूल दे दीजिए. तो मैंने कहा ओके. आई वाज नॉट नोइंग बार बेंडिंग शेड्यूल मेरे को देना होता है, जो मेहता साहब देते थे. तो he was looking at my, सर आप मेरे को दे दीजिए. मेरे को लगा पता नहीं क्या मांग रहा है वो, क्या नहीं मांग रहा है. देन ही सेड कि सर ये वाली साइड के ऊपर इतने कॉलम है, इतने बीम्स हैं, इतनी स्लैब्स की आज कास्ट को रीइंफोर्समेंट हमें काटनी है, एंड वी रिक्वायर द बार बेंडिंग शेड्यूल्स. आई सेड कि सर वो कहाँ से आएंगे. कहता सर यहाँ पे ना ड्राइंग्स पड़ी हुई हैं. एक ना ड्राइंग रूम होता है वहाँ पे, पूरा ड्राइंग रूम मीन्स जहाँ पे सभी कंस्ट्रक्शन की वर्किंग ड्राइंग्स पड़ी होती हैं. तो मेरे को तो वो समझ में नहीं आया कि कौन सी ड्राइंग से निकाल के कहाँ से देना है. देन somehow I took help from him, and then I took the drawing out, particular drawings out, and then I was not knowing, my dear friends, सीमा जी आप amazed हो जाएंगे. I have no मेरे को शर्म नहीं आ रही आप लोगों के सामने शेयर करने के लिए, because I am a teacher and I learned those things. मेरे को ड्राइंग खोलनी और बंद करनी नहीं आई। एक सिविल इंजीनियर की जो ड्राइंग का एक पर्टिकुलर वे होता है उसको खोलने का और बंद करने का, मतलब खोल तो कोई भी सकता है उसको ड्राइंग को, लेकिन उसको वापस फोल्ड कैसे करना है मेरे को वो नहीं आए। फिर उसमें से चलो उसने खोल लिया तो फिर मेरे को समझ में नहीं आया कौन से कॉलम की बात कर रहा है, मेरे को कौन कौन से बार्स को कैसे कैसे बेंड करना है। आई वाज, टू कट द होल स्टोरी शॉर्ट, आई वाज फीलिंग वेरी स्मॉल in spite of my very good scores in the college, because in the college I was not being evaluated on these 30 marks. Okay, I will now restrict myself to English language. I was not evaluated on 30 marks. I was given score 100 marks, may say only on product evaluation. And I was not able to read and interpret the practical drawings which are there in the field. My purpose of drawing subject was to be able to read those and interpret those and give it to the fitter. Carpenter aa gaya. Then next term was carpenter aa gaya. Concrete wala person aa gaya. You know, everybody came to me and they were asking, and I have to refer the drawing. Now, by this time, I think you all understand the importance, the significance of drawings, number one. Number two, significance of process, product, general behavior, and the viva voce in the drawing evaluation. So you understand that very well. And these distribution of marks can be discussed in your board, in your university, and then you can add or delete more parameters, but this is what I felt. So I'm sharing this slide with all of you. This is how the drawing has to be evaluated. So this is a table of specification which is not given by Bloom in his Bloom's taxonomy, but it has been given by me in my slides over here. But this is not based on my own research work alone, but there's a lot of people who were involved into this. So you can take this, okay? And now coming to the laboratory. Laboratory, as I mentioned, the aim is to be able to experiment, to try out new things and validate what has been given. So for laboratory also, let me come to the slide where the evaluation scheme I have given here. First of all, this pro forma for identification of resources and gaps may be used by all teachers. At the very outset, in the one semester before the practical has to be done in the laboratory, the teachers may use this pro forma, which is very handy, to identify what experiments have to be done, what are the gaps in materials, are the gaps in the equipment, are the gaps in my own training on the experiments. The teacher himself or herself must know how to do the experiments. So this pro forma can be used by all of you. And then the process evaluation, product evaluation, journal behavior, and viva voce. 40 marks for process. In laboratory, I have given more marks to the process and product, the final reporting, the final interpretation of the result. You have got the results, but how you interpret them, what inferences you draw as a result of the experiment, that is there. I have given two parameters here for 20 marks, 10 each, or you may add some more parameters on the product evaluation. Okay, but 40 marks should be on the for the process evaluation, and 10 marks for general behavior, which care for the material and equipment independence and use of working time and space, and 30 marks for the viva voce, how basically you are trying to validate the theory. So the first point in the viva voce is understanding of underlying concepts, principle, and theory which you have undergone. Along with the practicals, you are trying to strengthen your knowledge about the theory also. So that is what is in the viva voce. Your critical judgment and reasoning, if your experiment is not coming up to the mark, you should not be given 0 marks for that. But what was the reason? Why it is not conforming to the results? What are those parameters which has affected your results, your interpretation, your graphs, and your other things? Ability to draw conclusion and generalization. drawing conclusion and generalizing your conclusion is a first step towards any research. Can you generalize it for everybody? Or there are certain boundary conditions under which you get this kind of results? Or maybe some of the boundary conditions have not been able to possible in your experimental setup. So all those things you should be there in the laboratory. So instead of 100 marks only for the product, which can be copied from your seniors, you are giving only 20 marks for the results and other 80 marks for other things. You may present it to your team in your college or in your boards or in universities. This is what assessment performance is. This is basically, forget it for a moment. This is basically to give each student a performer how well he did so and so practicals in the class. So this can be also used. But let me go to the workshops first. Workshops are for developing manual skills. Laboratory may, the purpose is not to develop the manual skills, but to validate and to experiment with the new things. So the evaluation process in the workshop is very different. Here, the process is 20 marks. The product gets, the final job which you make is 50 marks. If you because the job itself speaks loud, nothing much can be done on that. So 50 marks for that, and 10 marks for general behavior, and 20 marks again for the viva voce. This is what I propose. You may like to change if you want to. So in process evaluation, you are trying to see ability to read and interpret drawing. You are given a drawing, you are given some tools, and you are given something. How you are able to read the drawings, some marks for that. Ability to follow the correct procedure to make the job. Again, if you all permit me, can I share with you one example over here? Can I share one example?
Yes, sir. Certainly, sir.
My dear friends, it reminds me of 78, my first year and first semester in the workshop. I was to go in a fitting shop. Fitting shop में, as you know, one of the hardest workshop के अंदर different shops होती हैं, welding shop, fitting shop. There can be smithy, there were carpentry shop, there were painting shop, there was foundry shop. Fitting shop was one of the toughest one, and we were told by our seniors that the instructor in the fitting shop is very tough. He is a very tough guy. He can fail you. In Thapar, we used to fail in workshops, in the laboratories, so is the case even in the in IITs and NITs also, in some good institutions. So we were told that this man is a very tough, बड़ा खड़ूस का आदमी है, हिंदी में बोलते हैं. So the first day we entered in the fitting shop, we were given a hexa. He gave a piece of steel, and we were to make a V shape in this. Let me make it. I still remember my first year drawing and the job which we made. So, my dear friends, let me show you here about 5 mm का this kind of a steel का एक piece हमारे को दे दिया. They have given me a steel of piece, and we were asked to cut out a V shape from this. This was the first fitting shop. A V shape thing has to be taken out, and we were to use the hexa and use the filing, basically all tools of fitting to arrive at the final job to be made. So and he was very strict कि आपको इतने microns तक की accuracy लेके आना है. How do you use? And we were told that by the instructor that you will not be given a second blade. If by heating, if you are not cutting it properly, your blade will be broken and you will not be given a second blade. And we were not allowed to bring blade. a spare blade from our homes also. So आप 15 marks तक तो पहुंच ही नहीं सकते. You cannot reach if your process is going wrong. But believe me, my dear friends, he was very perfect. You have to hold your breath and you have to use this when you're doing cutting. Aapki body ka movement, everything he was very particular about. And I am so thankful to that instructor. None of our class fellows broke the blades. And, I'm just giving you one example. You can think about many other things in the laboratory, what is happening around. And my dear friends, that paid me about 5 years back. The dividends of that workshop has gave me, though many things have happened, but one example I can share with you. Me and my wife, we were to go to my in-laws. My in-laws were away to somewhere, but then they gave me the key. We are going somewhere, and for 2-3 days you can come and stay in our home. And somehow when I arrived home, I found that key has been misplaced. That key has been misplaced, and that house was about 4 kilometers from my home. And I was searching for the key. My wife was searching for the key. We were not able to find the key. But I am so fond of tools. I have the hexa in my home. Recently, about 10 days back, I was in Germany with my daughter. The only thing which I brought from there was the German tools. Still, I like to keep them in my home. So I had the hexa at that time, 5 years back. And my wife was scared that I may not cut my hand. Will I be able? We don't have the spare blades. I said, I don't require spare blades. I did this exercise in 78. And I went there and I cut the lock. And I cut the blade and we entered the home. Can you imagine at one situation, whatever you have learned, the skills which you have developed, they remain with you all your life. They are the lifelong assets with the engineers and the diploma holders. So the product and process evaluation के ऊपर आते हैं. So about the major and minor projects की बात करते हैं अभी हम लोग. We will not go in the details of the project. This thing, let me go to the evaluation part straightway, so that you get the things clear in your mind. How to evaluate. Project work is the most subjectively tested, evaluated. 5 boys, 5 girls, or 5 boys and girls have done the project together. If it is a group project, it can be individual or it may be a group or maybe individual project. And a lot of subjectivity is involved. Who has done what in the project? It's very difficult to evaluate, but I have tried to do research on that also. I say for planning itself, you assign 10% marks. How the student have arrived that we will be doing this project. May it be minor project, may it be a major project. The difference between major and minor project is, in a minor project, it is a task oriented. You are directly applying the theory and practical you have learned through various subjects. In a major project, it's not a direct application, but a challenging, a design, or maybe something which is not existing. The solution of the problem is not existing. You are trying to develop that prototype or a design. So that is basically the major or a minor project. So planning, आपने कौन सा प्रोजेक्ट करा, क्यों करा, और उसकी प्लानिंग कैसी थी? How well you were planned? 10% marks on that. And how you have executed? 30% marks on that. And my dear friends, many of you might be thinking if the student may be doing project somewhere else, you can still monitor and evaluate the execution. I can give you tools for that also. Okay. And then quality of the product or the report, 40% marks. Presently, mostly we give all the 100 marks to this third component. And the viva voce and presentation is 20% marks. So these are the 4 major components. I have now divided 100 marks into planning, execution, report or the product, depending on the project, and then presentation and viva voce. How good he or she is in presentation and how he or she is able to answer. From there, I can come to know very easily what 18 sector se kharida hua project hai from the market. He has bought it or he has himself done the project from this 20% mark. Planning 10% marks, the further component parameters in this is definition, feasibility, task analysis, strategy, sequencing, methodology, novelty. So now you are not having 10 marks, but you are having these parameters. You are bringing about objectivity in your subjective testing. How good he has done the what was his strategy? How well he has made the timeline, sequencing, methodology, anything new he is trying to do. Then execution mein, there are again certain parameters. And in each parameter, there are so many other parameters hidden. For example, resource effectiveness. How effectively he used the materials when he was doing the project, the tools, the equipment, the time, the information. What kind of references he referred to while doing the project. Sense of inquiry. Whatever research he has done, sense of responsibility, where he was executing the project, did you get any letter of appreciation, or you get the complaints that you do not send your students now to our industry for these projects? You know, execution 30% marks. Then the quality of the product, if it is a product oriented project, or quality of the report, if it is a quality of the, if it is a report oriented project. And in this, there are certain further parameters. See, I'm just giving you a hint on how you can bring about objectivity, because objectivity is adding to the validity and reliability of your assessment. And this is the way. You may add and you may delete certain parameters depending on your projects, or depending on the nature of the work, or depending on the discussion which you can hold in your departments. This is what the report is about. Then the presentation and viva voce, I have not added many parameters in that. How good his communication is, how well he is able to answer the queries. And generally I say, when you are evaluating the student on the project work, let him or let the group present it before all the department teachers and the students. It is a learning opportunity for the teachers as well as for the students. So this is basically what it is, the product. And if you want to use this format, quality of the, this in in the professional industrial training. Okay, the next parameter after drawing, laboratory, workshop, and project, industrial training is also nowadays internship कहते हैं कई जगह पे उसको, some people call it internship. उसके भी marks हैं, and then that can be divided in two parts because you are not there. So you can talk about the report and you can talk about the viva voce. But then I would say out of 60 marks of report, 20 marks should be given to the person under whom he has done the industrial training, the external evaluator in that. Okay. So you can see this. So my dear friends, developing appropriate psychomotor competencies are essential part of education and training for the students studying in the technical institutions to enable him or her appropriately placed and making him or her a good and responsible citizen. This is what I wanted to share with you. Thank you so much. If there are any questions, or if there are 2-3 minutes, I can show you one video. Or you want to make any comments? Anything, any feedback? Is this presentation?
Thank you so much for a wonderful presentation.
Say again, ma'am.
So thank you so much for a very wonderful, insightful presentation. We'll be able to apply quite a few things that you told us today.
Yeah, try with few
And
things.
we would love to see the video that you wanted to show us.
Yes. And for easy said than done, मैंने तो 45 minutes में 1 hour, 1.5 hours में सब कुछ present कर लिया. But when you are going to practically use this, you may come across certain challenges. And I am available. I am available. Yes. We can hold workshops for your teachers for 2 days on student evaluation on. Thank you so much for your wonderful feedback on the chat window also. If you are ready, I can take your 5 minutes time and show you 1 or 2 videos.
Sir, we have one feedback also from GDBIT Model Center.
Thank you so much, sir.
So just
hello, sir. This is Gurpreet from Bahadur Institute of Technology. Sir, as you were telling us, now, first of all, sir, congratulations. It was very nice presentation and it was very interactive, and we all are learning. And because practical is such an aspect in which what is happening is that already perception is there in students' mind कि हम तो पास हो ही जाएंगे.
पास हो जाएंगे.
पहला परसेप्शन यही होता है जब बच्चा जब भी कोई क्लासरूम में आता है उसको पता होता है कि प्रैक्टिकल में तो हमें पास कर ही देंगे. So how to evaluate is such a thing which has to be kept in mind of the examiner. So now, sir, when you were telling me about this, that अगर हमारे पास 100 marks हैं, so we can have process, we can have project, we can give 20 marks for the process and then product and then general behavior and viva. My question was, sir, what about the documentation? The practical file which we are telling, which we are.
ये report, उसके लिए marks है ना, उसके लिए report writing के मैंने marks रखे हैं. I have kept the marks for that.
So
but just if you give all the marks to only the practical file, that practical file I can steal away or I can borrow or I can buy Seema's practical. Seema की practical मैं ले जाता हूँ और topo करके अपने दे देता हूँ results.
We need to have one of the parameters, according to me, should be the practical file also incorporated in the 4 parameters which
sure
you have.
Sure, I agree with you, ma'am. And for that, the report is very important.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir, for the beautiful session, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else want to say anything? Thank you so much for your wonderful feedback, which I am seeing on the chat window here. I feel encouraged by your feedback. If you all agree, may I show you a very small video here? 1 or 2 videos.
Sure, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. And those who are not interested in see the video may also leave and go for the lunch, early lunch. But then I can show you the video. Okay. Just see, just few seconds की video है, first वाली video. Just see this video. A example of the psychomotor, आपकी psychomotor की testing जो आपने whatever practice you have done 3 years, 4 years, when you are actually playing the match, a football match में क्या है, largely it is a psychomotor skills, but there are intellectual cognitive skills also. But then for years together you practice, and if your coach is not evaluating and giving you proper feedback, you will miss the goals. See this goal now and enjoy this.
The way they look at the ball, look at the way he's got it. He's got it in his hands. He's having a good, careful look at where it's placed. Absolutely perfect. I mean, everything's set that he's going to hit it. I just wonder if the kid was on.
What, all of 30 yards, Andy?
Ah, why? It's a 30-yard free kick with a 20-yard run up.
Dear, I don't believe it. What a goal we have just seen from Roberto Carlos. That is amazing.
Well, that was what was missing in Euro 96. That is quite incredible. Not so sure about the goalkeeper's position or what he saw, but we can't deny the quality of the strike. It had power, it had bend, it had accuracy. Watch this. That's way wide of the goal. That's 2-3 yards wide and just clips the inside of the post. That is quite a magnificent free kick. I'm not so sure we'll see one better than that, but many a year. Quite exquisite.
An absolutely stunning shot. Barthez, well, he was as much a spectator as I was.
So friends, if you want to make goals, if you want to make your student to really excel in the industries, they want this kind of practices to be done in the college, and they have to be evaluated. Otherwise, over those 1.5 months, the learning of drawings which I learned in Mumbai in that construction material agency was much more important than whatever I have learned drawings in the classrooms. Classroom drawings are very important, but then At that time, this kind of sessions were not there, so we were not evaluated on the practical drawings, practical works. There are so many other examples I can share with you. All of you must be having those. Let me share another small video of another sport where you will be able to appreciate the significance of drawings. Okay. Significance of the psychomotor abilities. What kind of precision is required? What kind of accuracy is required? When you are measuring things in the industry, you should be having skill to measure. You should be having skill to interpret the drawings. Otherwise, everything can go wrong.
Showing off Steve Wolf. You can rattle like that one.
Oh, that is amazing. On his backside, but no problem for Grigor Dimitrov.
Oh yes, that is a ripper, and he knows it. Wants a bit of crossing. Beautiful. Normally,
you see the squash shot on the forehand. A lot of players.
Well, friends, our ultimate aim is that we give to the student, give to the industry a right kind of student with the intellectual capability and psychomotor abilities, so that when the match is there, they are able to make the perfect shots. They know where to tap and how much force I have to apply on my hammer. And what is actually required, the troubleshooting, the design. There are cognitive abilities where you require a lot of practice, and every time you come out with the consistently I'm using the word, the right kind of answers, the right kind of designs. Otherwise, there are softwares available everywhere. Softwares can design the building, they can design. Why they require the engineers is because they cannot create something new. That creativity, that they cannot perform. The robots cannot give this kind of shots. But then robots can train us to be perfect in many ways. With this, my dear friends, it was such a great pleasure for me. I once again thank Dr. Sunil Dutt, who gave me this opportunity to interact with all of you. You are such a wonderful audience. Your feedback. I always say in my class that I come not for to teaching, but to learn from all of you. And a lot of learning has taken place from all of you. Thank you so much, and enjoy your lunch. And any feedback you want to say, you can share. Or we meet some other day, some other time. Another program is coming, a 5-day program on preparing students for job interviews next week only, from Monday onward. Those of you who are keen to join the session, 5-day program on preparing the student for job interviews, you can register for that program also, up to the the participants. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Neelamji. Thank you so much, Seema. And thanks to everyone. Please for the next session now, after lunch session.
Thank you.
So this, I just want to say one thing, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
By far, one of the best sessions we've had so far, sir. Thank you for making it so engaging and interactive, and your anecdotes, I
ये
think,
एक
set the
डिजिटल
tone for the whole
ये
thing.
मैम ये डिजिटल पेडागोजी भी हमने 2 सालों में सीखी, 2.5 सालों में, मार्च 2020 से लेके कि हाउ वी कैन ब्रिज द गैप ऑनलाइन ओवर, एंड यू आर ऑल वंडरफुल टीचर्स, यू हैव एट द बैक ऑफ इट। मैं तो थ्योरी का यहाँ पे जो पढ़ा रहा हूँ, आप लोग तो स्टूडेंट्स से डायरेक्टली इन्वॉल्व हैं, यू हैव वेरी रिच एक्सपीरियंसेस, सो वट एवर लिटिल एक्सपीरियंस आई हैव, आई ट्राई टू शेयर विद ऑल ऑफ यू। थैंक यू
Greatly
and
enriched, sir. Thank you so much.
Keep doing good work, I would say.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for your blessings, sir.
Thank you.